So we recently got back from checking out the Epic Universe preview, the rehearsals.
Technical
rehearsals, which basically means that not everything is going to be open or running. So I saw a lot of people complaining that, all the rides weren't working and stuff. So, it says pretty much everywhere in the park that it's technical rehearsal. So you should probably expect things to be closed.
Everyone knew what they were getting into when they got these preview tickets. That's how it is with all new theme parks. Even with new rides, they go through technical rehearsals before officially opening. So we're going to share our real and unfiltered thoughts about Epic Universe. But I will say that the complaints about it have been a little heavy. Is it perfect? No. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. But the complaints about it have been a little bit heavy considering it was open only for previews. We'll see what happens when it officially opens, which is going to happen this Friday. So we wanted to get this video out. I also have a blog post called 10 Things to Know Before Going to Epic Universe, which is already out. And I will leave that in the description below so that you can check that out too.
Yep. So before we go any further, be sure to hit the like button on this video. Definitely helps us out. And subscribe to the channel if you like videos like this one where we go over Epic Universe, Universal stuff, and everything else in between.
All kinds of travel.
Yep. So what do you want to start with? The good, the bad, or the ugly?
Let's start with the good.
Okay.
Let's start with the good. So one of the first things that I thought when we walked into the park, and one of the first things that I said to you was, I said, you know what I like about this is that everything is relevant. Because if there's one complaint that you and I and anyone can have about Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, it's some of the very dated IPs. Like Toon Lagoon needs an overhaul.
Lost Continent isn't really even themed.
Lost Continent, there's nothing there except for Mythos. And even we're talking about like some of the shows like Blues Brothers. It's not only not relevant to children and teens who are at the parks.
It's not really
relevant to their parents.
Yeah.
So a lot of things in Universal do need a little bit of a update. Need a little bit of a.
Which is the good thing about Epic Universe is it's all relevant IPs. You got How to Train Your Dragon. You have Super Mario Land or Super Nintendo World. You have Dark Universe. Obviously, that's older stuff, but it's being modernized.
Yes,
so it's stuff that people liked in the past that Universal has taken away, but is being brought back because the popularity of HHN. They're kind of branching off of that.
Yeah, and then taking away Monsters Cafe and things like that. Like they're kind of. People really didn't like that. As much as we love Minions Cafe, a lot of people didn't like when Monsters Cafe left, but now they have this whole kind of monster themed land, and then also the Ministry of Magic. We'll get to that. That's not going to be part of the good, but that was one of the good things in my mind. If you like rides, there aren't a lot of them, but the rides I didn't get to go on very many, but the rides are solidly good.
Yeah, you got Stardust Racers, which is pretty great. It's fun to watch that. If you were a big fan of Dueling Dragons in the past and they took it away, you would really like this one because it's very similar to it.
Similar idea.
The waits are kind of hit or miss at the moment.
But we'll just see, because I expect
sometimes
Epic
they're 35
Universe.
minutes, sometimes they're 100 minutes. So just look at the Universal app and see what the wait times are. Is the suggestion.
There is no possible way that wait times aren't insane in the beginning. So
well, that Ministry of Magic was at 300 minutes, and then, even on past one preview days.
500 minutes.
It was 500 minutes.
Absolutely insane. 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's not 6 hours. Cut that out.
And then onto the topic of food. The food, is pretty good. We ate at Meteor Gastropub.
Gastropub, yeah.
And it was really good.
Yeah, and then there were a couple places to stop and get some quick grab and go stuff. There's not, because it's new, and this is going to be open in phases. There's not a ton of food choices yet. That's a little bit of a downside, but the food that's there is good. There is a pretty extensive vegan and vegetarian menu, which is always nice to see. There are some. I have celiac disease, so I'm completely gluten free. There are some gluten free options, which is really good to see. Universal is always really allergy friendly. So what we got to try was good. You're not going to get that variety that you get at Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. Not yet, just because. But there are spaces that will probably be restaurants in the future.
Yeah, they'll be filled in, and they already have the expansion plans ready to go. They're going to be expanding, all the lands. So we're theorizing that they currently have Super Mario and Donkey Kong in Super Nintendo World. The theory or rumor is that they're going to be adding Zelda because there's a spot in Super Mario World or outside of it, the shop.
I still maintain that I'd love to see that in Islands of Adventure.
There's a little glass pane that has Link on it, so
maybe that's a little hint.
Yeah, highly theorized.
I'd love to see it in one of the other parks where they need to do some refurb.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would make the most sense to go in Super Mario or Super Nintendo World land, and they might put like Pokemon or something else in Universal Islands of Adventure.
I think when we're talking about the good stuff, I think that Super Nintendo World is just broadly worth mentioning because it was one of the things that I was the most excited about when we learned about the different lands that were coming. But once we were actually there
and you experience it,
it was definitely the best, in my opinion, hands down. It was so fun, and there's 3 rides, but there's also a ton of interactive games.
Yeah, like mini games.
You need to get
the power-up band.
Mm-hmm. It's like $45. It's essentially the wand. It's essentially the Harry Potter wand of.
Only more interactive, I think.
But more, maybe even more so than the wands. But of the Super Nintendo World, and there's so many different games you can play. That's definitely where you're going to see the most kids. However, one thing I will say, and we'll start kind of sliding into the bad. There's not a lot for young kids at Epic Universe.
Definitely not.
At all. And I don't mean kids like, let's just say like 5 and up, but as far as babies and toddlers, there's almost nothing. There's almost nothing. So you're going to want to plan, if you have really little kids, you're going to want to plan probably more days at Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. And granted, Universal Orlando has always kind of been thought of as a teen and older kid and adult destination, but in the past years, they've done a lot to bring more for the young kids, like DreamWorks Land,
Minion,
and Serious Landing and the Minion stuff. But honestly, there's so little.
So little at the moment.
For little kids, there's a play area.
So not really devised.
Yeah, there's a play area, with slides and it's really really nice in Isle of Berk.
Yeah.
But there aren't really rides,
Not too much.
even in Super Nintendo World where you'll see all the kids. All of those rides have height requirements. Mm-hmm. Yoshi is 34 inches, and the other 2 rides are 40. So if you have a little one, they're not going on any of those.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer if you have a little one that wants to.
Yeah. So you want to talk about the rides in Super Mario first, or Super Nintendo Land first, or do you want to kind of go in order from around what we went to as you come into the park?
We can go in order. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So there's not much to do with younger kids, toddlers, anything like that. So just keep that in mind at the moment. I'm sure maybe once they start expanding, they will have more stuff to do.
It'd just be great to see some splash pads or another play
I think they do have something like a splash pad in Celestial Park.
Okay. Maybe it just wasn't going whenever we were there. But something, just something. Because the other parks have the other parks are getting better with that.
Yeah. So whenever you arrive, and we'll probably touch on the topic of the walkway.
We will. We'll get to that. That'll be under the ugly.
The parking area is not covered yet. So I think the plans are that they're going to build like a parking garage eventually, kind of like they have at City Walk. But as of now, there's no covered parking, no shaded, except for Prime. And I guess we're already going into the walkway thing.
If you've ever parked at the Ticket and Transportation Center at Disney, it's kind of like that. Except Disney has like the little shuttles that'll take you to the actual ticket and transportation center from the parking lot. Universal does not.
Yeah, I guess since we're already here, I guess we'll talk about the walkway. The walkway is not covered at all. It's pretty far distance from the entrance.
Depending on where you park.
Yeah, solid
sure.
like 10 minutes, I think, of walking.
At least.
And if you're doing that like in the heat, like we did,
Yeah.
it's pretty.
I think it was 96, so it was
Not fun.
a lot, yeah.
And
I don't know why they didn't cover that. Hopefully they will. It
Yeah.
seems like a weird oversight, but
Hopefully they'll cover it and also add the moving walkway. That would be a smart choice, I think, like they have at City Walk.
so that everyone can just stand on it.
So
and
that
not
everybody
get
can
out of the
stand on
way.
it, take strollers on it. But I digress.
We'll see about that.
So yeah, that's what, hopefully future plans include that. But just to make you aware, nothing is shaded except for prime parking.
And there's really not a ton of shade
and valet.
throughout the park anyway, which is just it's really not good or bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's really not horribly bad. It's just something to be very aware of. Extra sunscreen, maybe bring a UV umbrella. If it's gonna rain, ponchos, umbrellas, etc. But when you go in, you're in Celestial Park, so that's kind of the main
You're in Celestial
area.
Park. It's really cool. They have the entrance that's really tall, has all the islands on it, which is, it was really cool sight. Whenever we were walking up, it's very like grand.
Yeah. It's very exciting to walk in there. There's 2 rides. We already mentioned Stardust Racers a lot. That is a roller coaster, good roller coaster,
Very
and
good.
Then they have a carousel as well, which is
big carousel.
maybe one thing you could do with a little kid.
Yeah, that's kind of in the middle of everything. It's a huge like canopy tent thing that has the the carousel in the middle. It's all covered as well. And then on the outside, the outskirts of it, you have like your like shops
and restaurants. They don't have a ton of merch there. I will say it's not like some of the stores in City Walk or some of the big stores in Universal. There's really not tons and tons of merch there, but again, that could change as there's a lot of what is very obviously storefronts that just aren't open yet.
Yeah. So it's very much in progress type of thing. So I imagine everything will start building up and being available once they hit the opening date. But we started on the right side, I think. So whenever you start walking towards everything, we get to the Isle of Berk, which is very cool looking. It's a very tall, like pillar kind of thing that has dragon on it. It's very themed very well. And as you pass, through the portal, they have like a big LED. As I understand it, is that there's going to be mist that's
to make it feel like more of a portal.
Yeah, there'll be mist and stuff. And I was saying that it's probably cooler to visit in the evening whenever it starts getting darker because everything seems like it's.
But during the previews, it wasn't open
Yeah.
past,
Yeah.
I believe, about 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So, but there's 3 rides. So the first one is Fire Drill, which is an interactive boat ride. It is a water
ride.
And it is very much a water ride. Not in the traditional sense where there's like a thing and you woo, not like that. But you will get wet on this ride. You can use the little cannon things to spray the other boats. So. And I believe that there's no height requirement on that. So we mentioned there's not a lot of rides with no height requirement, but that is one.
And then we have the wing gliders, which seems to be a very nausea-inducing ride because you can go a full 360. You're basically riding a dragon.
But it's a family-friendly coaster, 40-inch height requirement, and then you have your Dragon Racers Rally, which is more of a roller coaster type of thing with a 48-inch height requirement. So again, even though this is a very kid-friendly area, just keep in mind the little ones can really only go on the water ride.
Yep.
So bring extra clothes for them.
But overall, like the Isle of Berk is pretty immersive.
Super immersive. There's
themed really well.
There's a show. There's meet and greets. It's if you have anyone who is a fan in your family of How to Train Your Dragon, and we have 2 huge fans of it in ours, they're gonna really love it. Even we went for my son's birthday. He's turning 17, but he's always really loved How to Train Your Dragon, and he really enjoyed the Isle of Berk.
And then this was probably my favorite world, next to Nintendo World or Nintendo Super Nintendo World, but it's Dark Universe, and I know you were surprised with this one too. But I like all the dark themed stuff, like the gothic stuff.
Well, I like the theming of it. I don't really watch a lot of monster movies, and it's not really my favorite thing to watch, I guess. But when I walked into the land, I was like, this is so cool. I love this. Absolutely love it. I didn't get to ride Monsters Unchained, but I did go through the queue, which was an experience in and of itself. He went on the ride, so he can tell you about it.
The ride was really cool.
Kind of similar to...
Very similar to Forbidden Journey. I think they used the same technology, but the animatronics were really, really immersive.
Even in the pre-show.
Yeah.
The animatronics were crazy.
They were really good. So, and the wait times were always subject to change, but it seemed like they were getting through the queue pretty quickly. So I think on average it was about 25 to 30 minute wait.
Again, during previews.
And it's an inside ride, so if it's too hot or if it's raining.
And we're gonna get to that in a minute because we have a lot to say about that. But it is indoors, one of the very, very few indoor rides at Epic Universe, which is a problem, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
So definitely check out Monsters Unchained. It's a really cool ride. And then the other one, Curse of the Werewolf. I didn't go on this. But
I won't be going on this.
It's a very similar ride. If you've ever heard of Silver City, I think they had the first of this.
They did.
This ride.
They had the first spinning roller coaster, and this is kind of
very similar to that.
A smaller version of that. I have been on the one in Silver City.
Yeah. I
did not feel well.
It's a fun ride.
It's fun if you don't have motion sickness.
Yeah. But it's basically, you're spinning around on a roller coaster.
But it's a spinning coaster.
And it's themed Curse of the Werewolf. So, if you enjoy those type of rides, then it'll definitely be up your alley. So those are really the only two rides they have.
They only have two rides, but they also have that steakhouse there.
Yeah, the steakhouse, which is rated
some other
really well.
Yeah, some other food. Really, really fun. Loved the merch. Absolutely loved that.
The merch was awesome. Yeah.
And for me, it was probably what surprised me the most and what I liked.
And again,
don't you worry, we'll get to what I liked the least.
It'll probably be really cool at night, I would say.
For sure. That would be amazing.
And then, once you're done with that, you'll go on over to Paris and to the Ministry of Magic, which was pretty underwhelming.
Which was hugely disappointing. Whenever Epic Universe was announced, as a Harry Potter fan, as a fan of the Wizarding World in general, I was really excited about this. I was really excited about the ride, which, while we were not able to go on it, we know that the ride is good. So that's going to be the positive of the Ministry of Magic. However, I will say that when if you've been to Universal Studios, if you've been to Diagon Alley, you'll remember the first time you walk into Diagon Alley because you're just like, wow, this is incredible. I don't feel that way in the Ministry of Magic. It's like you're walking into, I think, 1920s Paris, which is nice, which is a fun theme, but it's just 1920s Paris with a couple of shops that sell Harry Potter stuff, which you don't even really know until you look at them closely, and then there's a random butterbeer cart. It's not nearly, in my opinion, as magical as the rest of the Wizarding World. The redeeming quality here is going to be Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry.
It's the only ride there.
Yeah, it's the only ride, and it is. Everyone has only said good things about it, other than that it's kind of technical and has some issues, kind of like Hagrid's. It's not like Hagrid's, but like Hagrid's, it has some technical issues. Really good. I was kind of bummed because it wasn't supposed to be open, so I was really excited to walk through the queue, but then it was open, so we couldn't walk through the queue. But we've only heard good things about it. I would just say the land itself was really underwhelming. I hope they do more with it. I feel like they could have done more with it.
And again, there's probably plans to expand it like all the other... They have all these expansion pads, and they have plenty of room to expand everything. So I imagine they will most likely end up expanding it at some point.
Yeah.
And then we save, of course, the best for last. is Super Nintendo World. It's pretty cool whenever you first go into it. You go upstairs or an escalator, it's like a pipe.
It's like a pipe. So you feel like you're there,
Yeah.
like right in Super Nintendo World. A lot of people, we've seen a lot of complaints about there's stairs. Guys, there's an elevator. Universal is very accessible friendly. There are elevators everywhere that there are stairs. You do not have to take stairs if you don't want to, if you can't, if you're not physically comfortable. There are stairs. It's going to be way more magical to take that escalator up there. But if that is uncomfortable to you for any reason, you can take the elevator. Actually, you can walk straight in and be on the bottom level and take the elevator up to the top.
Yep.
So it's a weird thing to complain about, but it really makes it more immersive. And if you've ever played any Mario games ever, you'll know why they have all those stairs, because there's always stairs there.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much modeled after, I believe, Super Mario 64, because you have Peach's Castle and stairs up to that and whatnot. So it's really cool, very bright and colorful, and it's pretty much very detailed after
I think
the Mario games.
We touched on the rides already, but we'll touch on them again really quickly. Yoshi's Adventure is an Omnimover, so the wait times are generally not too bad because it's like a train of Yoshis. One thing to keep in mind here is that you're in the bright sun, and if it has to stop for any reason, you will be sitting and boiling in the bright sun.
Yep.
One thing I loved about this ride, just random thing, and I've mentioned already in this video and before that Universal is great for accessibility, but I loved that the accessible carts on Yoshi's Adventure were like eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually put a wheelchair onto those. I think there were maybe two of them onto the accessible ones, but they're like an egg, so it's like
themed around it.
Like so, and most of the time they are, but it was so themed around it. I'm like that, you know.
They really thought about it.
They really thought about it because honestly, I'm a little jealous that I couldn't sit in one of the eggs. So, so if you need one of those accessible Yoshis, it's pretty much the coolest one there, which is really nice. And then they also have Mario Kart, which is indoors.
It is indoors. We didn't go on it, but
it was down.
Yeah, I think it was delayed. But it's supposed to be like one of the best rides in the park as well. You can use I believe you can use your power-up band with it too. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting the power-up band. Definitely worth it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. But Mario Kart is one of the top-rated ones there. So sure
if you like Mario Kart, which we do, it's going to be a fun one. And then last but certainly not least, we have the Donkey Kong Country Minecart Madness. And what's really, again, unique, and Universal did a great job with this, is that you go into a separate area for the Donkey Kong stuff, which is great because it really...
Yeah, it's like a separate Donkey Kong world.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that people have complained about with Universal compared to, say, Disney, is that the lands aren't really, you can see Hogwarts Castle from, Jurassic Park, and like they're not really, there's not that degree of separation. Epic Universe changed this entirely. Not only within the different lands, but even for this particular one within Super Nintendo World.
Yeah.
Super whatever.
You don't really see Super Mario World from Donkey Kong.
No, it's completely
vice versa.
Separated. And the most fun feature about this is that it simulates jumping the track.
Off the rails.
So, yeah. So that one was...
So that'll be definitely a fun one, too, to check out for sure.
So now that we've kind of gone around the park, talked about the rides, there are a few shows as well. I think we kind of briefly mentioned some of those. There's one in...
Isle of Berk. There's the Untrainable Dragon.
And there's one in the Ministry of Magic. They also... We were just sitting and eating our ice cream, and they had live music, which was in a band, which was pretty good, just randomly. And so now that we've kind of gone over all of that, let's talk about the disappointing aspects of the park, or what...
Yeah, so obviously...
Or basically just what you should be aware of before you go.
Obviously, the lack of shade is a big part of it. We're in Florida, where it's going to be raining pretty much every day.
In the summer.
And it's going to be incredibly hot, especially after the rain, very humid. Not many places to cover from the sun or from the rain. So I don't know if that was maybe an oversight or if they're planning to.
They forgot that this was Orlando.
They forgot it was Orlando. So
in Hollywood or something, this would be Universal Studios Hollywood, totally fine to have almost everything outdoors. But that was my, along those lines, my biggest complaint with it. And I said this, I think, while we were there, and mentioned it multiple times since then. All these rides are outdoors. Which, if you think about Universal Studios, if it's an extremely hot day or it's just pouring rain, you have Men in Black, The Mummy, Green Gots, Simpsons,
E.T., everything. Everything is indoors.
So many things are indoors. There's a few roller coasters outside, and in Islands of Adventure as well. Islands of Adventure has more outdoors than the Universal Studios, but just in general, you still have Spider-Man. You have the Seuss Landing stuff. You have all the things. At Epic Universe, there are, if I'm doing my math right, I believe 3 indoor rides. So, especially because it's just opening, and the crowds are going to be crazy. If it rains and the outdoor rides get closed down, you're going to have insane wait times for the Ministry of Magic, which is probably going to be insane anyway. Mm-hmm. Or also...
Frankenstein.
What was the Dark Universe ride that you...
Yeah, you got the Monsters Unchained.
And Mario Kart.
And, Mario Kart. All of the, indoor mini games are going to be flooded with people. Not actually
Hopefully
flooded.
Not rain.
So everybody will probably be taking cover in those or in the portals. So hopefully they, make something happen where they have more shade or
I don't think
shops.
I don't think that's going to happen for a while. So I think you just need to be extremely prepared, especially if you've never visited Orlando before. During a lot of the year, the summer and beyond a little bit, it rains every day, and usually not all day every day, but it rains and it's hot. Mm-hmm. So you just like I said earlier, bring your sunscreen, bring your ponchos, bring your umbrella. Maybe bring extra clothes. And a good thing that you can bring are the little spray bottle things that we had. Oh yeah, that pretty much saved me the other day. We have a little fan that misses water. Those are really great, and you can buy them on Amazon before you
buy
go.
them on Amazon.
So you don't have to buy
Universal.
one that's $30 at Universal. Same with ponchos. Just get the cheap ponchos. It's fine. They do sell everything that you need for that at Universal, but at a premium, because if you need an umbrella, you are willing to pay a lot for it. So I think the biggest downside would just be how much of everything is outside, being that a lot of rides will have to close down if there's a lot of rain or lightning, and then just the complete lack of
shade
or protection from the sun, the rain, the elements.
Mm-hmm.
And then we assume that most people know this, but I do think it's worth mentioning that Epic Universe is not sitting right there with the other parks. So no matter which hotel you're staying in, there will be shuttles all day long to and from Epic Universe. But if we have some crazy weather at Epic and there's just people leaving in droves, it might take a while because it's not close. And everybody's probably going to leave at the same time because there's not very many things to do when it rains, which it inevitably will.
Yep.
But other than that, it's a really great park. It has the potential to be one of the best, if not the best theme park in Orlando. I don't think it's there yet. I've seen people say that it's the best theme park in Orlando. I don't think it's there yet. But I think it could be.
Yeah, there's just not enough to do yet.
There's just not enough to do yet, and I think there will be. And it doesn't.
Like you were saying, you can do this park in half a day.
Yes, I think if you had express passes, this would be a half-day park. But that will probably change in the future. And just in case you don't know, for right now, your people were buying additional one-day Epic Universe tickets on top of their regular tickets. As of 2026, park-to-park tickets include Epic Universe. That's a big deal. I didn't see that coming, but that's what's happening. So as of 2026, your park-to-park tickets will include Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Epic Universe. You can add on Volcano Bay if you want to. You don't have to. But those 3 parks will now be included as of 2026. So if you're planning to go in 2026 or later, just be aware that you can, if you do the park-to-park tickets, you can park hop. So I would really recommend that just due to the rain and sun situation at Epic. If it gets to be too much, you could just hop on over to another park and then go back later.
Yeah, so overall, I'd probably give it a maybe a 6 out of 10 as a park. My favorite, of course, obviously, Dark Universe. I just love the way those things are themed. And then, of course, close second is Super Nintendo World. Definitely a must whenever you're there. Just be aware of all the wait times, of course, with anything that's brand new opening.
Yeah, it was really good. I'd probably give it a 6 or 7. I never rate anything higher than you, so that's insane. I'd probably give it a 6 or 7, but like I said, assuming that either you had an express pass or the wait times weren't long, which is not likely to start with, this is a half-day park. Mm-hmm. If it was not very crowded, this is a half-day park for sure. But
I will say the Grand Helios look really cool up close.
Oh yeah, we didn't even touch on that because it's not really part of Epic Universe.
We'll do that in another video or something.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a tour of it. So
yeah, for sure.
Keep an eye out for that. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. And we've got tons and tons of other Universal content on the channel, as well as we cover Mexico, the Caribbean, Hawaii, all the things. So make sure to subscribe if you're interested in travel stuff. And if there was something you liked or didn't like about Epic Universe, make sure to let us know if you think we missed anything in the comments.
For sure. We love reading your comments and seeing your reactions. So until then, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.